Welcome to Mecum's Gone Farmin' Vintage Tractor Auction, featuring the only classic tractor auction of its kind in the country. Today, some of the hardest to find tractors in the world will hit the auction block. So sit back and relax and enjoy Mecum's Gone Farmin' Vintage Tractor Auction.
Hello everyone, I'm Mike Holland along with Max Wilson, and it is auction day. That's right, it's Mecum's Gone Farmin' Classic Tractor Auction right here from Nashville, Tennessee. And we have 150 of the most collectible tractors along with some fantastic vintage signs for our show today. But don't go anywhere, there's plenty to come right after this. And as we start to see the tractors roll in here, we would certainly want to welcome everyone tuning in on RFD TV today. Remember, you can always watch the Mecum Gone Farmin' auctions every Tuesday at 5:30 Eastern, every Saturday at 10:30 Eastern on RFD TV. There's also the opportunity to have some of the grandkids driving in the tractors as well. They get a thrill. This is certainly a different style. Tell me about this one here, Max.
Yeah, this one here in 1953 GW, which meant G with a wide front. And this guy, when he was restoring them, this is from the Jim and Beverly Vaden collection, I believe, if I've got the name right. But they brought us a complete set of John Deere Gs, and this one here, he went through and put an extra set of wheels and tires on it, so it was dualed up. And a lot of tractors, these were used. Where they were used, it might be a little wet, so you start putting extra tires on for flotation. Now, this collection that we're going to sell here, this one here is selling at no reserve. I think he's got a reserve on one or two, but he brought them to sell. He's got one of every variation of the John Deere Model Gs, and this is one of the big things that I was interested in seeing how they go. And looking at the price right now, the quality of restoration speaking for itself. So
certainly the high price of the day so far, just already north of $17,000.
Yeah, this one here's serial number 63904, Expo certified, has the long axles, 104-inch wide, and that's how he can put those duals on there like that. Two-cylinder production records. It's a 5-year-old restoration. It was shipped to Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada originally. So
rolls out at $17,000, the high price of the day so far. Not always about the tractors going for a high price here. A lot of times it's the story behind the tractor that hits the auction block.
I just like the G, and I like the sound of the G. That's kind of crazy, but I like the sound of the G. It makes a different sound. It's a deeper, throatier sound to it. So if you're gonna fool with two cylinders, I thought, well, I'm just gonna get G's. So that's what I did, and that's why. I hope somebody buys these who's got a sense of history about them. Because when you look at one of these old tractors, you think about all the people who've touched it during its lifetime. And you think about that, they fed a lot of families. You wonder who sat on the seat of these things, what their life was like, how many kids they had, what they did in life. So these things have a personality and a history. And you hope somebody buys them who appreciates a little of that and what these things have done for the mystique of what made this country what it is and what made it great, because these are the things that these people used to make this country what it is today. So I would hope and pray that somebody gets these tractors of mine and other tractors who will take care of them and keep them for the next generation, because they do need to be preserved.
Okay, and that's going to bring in S21, another John Deere G from the Vaden collection, Jim and Beverly Vaden. This one here, original tires on the rear. This is what they call low radiator G, and what it was, a lot of these tractors were built with a smaller radiator. The original ones were built with a low radiator, and they found out that they had an overheating problem, so a lot of them, the Deere sent out kits to convert them to a taller radiator to alleviate that cooling problem. A lot of them got replaced. This one here is an original low radiator G, so once again should be another one of our good sellers. Got the cast rear wheels with wheel weights and those split rims I was talking about earlier on that Unstyled G that came through. So another one selling at no reserve and $15,000 already. So
I believe this one's going to have enough interest to keep climbing. Kathy's working the crowd here. All the way up into the stands. They've got bidders stacked up here at the Ag Center, Franklin, Tennessee, just south of Nashville.
yeah, and just look at the quality of the restoration on this. Nothing's really been overturned. It's got the original style magneto on it. I mean, when this guy went through and restored these, he did them 100%. They are correct. He's bought a couple of them done, but a lot of it, he did a lot of work on them and made sure that everything was right. So $14,000, and that's going to bring in S22, which is John Deere G high crop. One of 235 built, one of 120 shipped to the United States. So you got a rare tractor to start with, but then it's one of 120 that were shipped in the U.S. So completely restored by Brian Overall, a Midwest Tractor and Plow last year. 2-cylinder production records, shipped to Alexandria, Louisiana, November 24th of 1952. So, and once again, another one from the Vaden collection. Has the correct hydraulic cylinder hanging on the back of it there on the cylinder holder. And that's all plumbed in the way it would have been when it was brand new. Brand new tires all the way around. So.
And it's no surprise this beautiful piece of machinery is already fixing to hit north of $45,000. I think a lot of the collectors here can see the value in this one.
Yeah, and this is one of them they want a little bit of protection on. This does have a reserve on it, rightfully so, with what was probably invested with the restoration, so, and the rarity of the tractor.
And it's still climbing up there. Mr. Dan Mecum going over and talking to the seller of the tractor, trying to get him to convince him to lift the reserve here and keep this bid going. Dan giving it his best shot here.
And just jumped to 53,000. So
there it goes. The reserve has been taken off the tractor. Trying to get these bidders to climb up into the $54,000 mark. Well, Max, that one rolls out of here at $53,000, a record for today's auction.
Yeah, just a beautiful tractor. Went for a good price. We got the reserve met and got it sold. So
have a lot of fantastic tractors making their way through here. We want to welcome everyone watching via RFD TV. Welcome to Mecum's Gone Farmin in Nashville, where we're just south of Nashville in Franklin, Tennessee.
We're bringing in S23 now, 1947 John Deere G. And got a, if you look at this is a little bit different style. If you notice, that last tractor had the battery under the seat, and granddad was a high crop. This is what they call a a GM because the battery's mounted up in front of the valve cover, and then you got the pan type seat here on the back. Still had the channel seat and fenders on it, weights. Once again, another beautiful restoration, good tires on it, good running tractor. And this one's selling at no reserve. This one here, he just figured, well, we'll let it speak for itself. And
another part of the Vaden collection here.
This one was restored in 2011. Also has front wheel spacers, because with that narrow front, if you got in soft ground, there's a tendency for the mud to pack between the wheels. By spacing the wheels out, let that clear out. It was shipped to Fort Lupton, Colorado originally. Has a 2-cylinder production papers with it. So
no reserve has come off of that tractor. Someone is going to get a fantastic deal on that one. Selling for just $6,000, trying to get a $6,000 bid. And $57 looks like it's going to be the final price on that one. Well, Max, it looks like the price bar has been raised here today in Nashville. This has been fantastic. But right now we're going to take a break in the action. But don't worry, there's more auction to come. We'll be back right after this. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us once again to Mecum's Gone Farmin Nashville. I'm Mike Holland along with Max Wilson. And we've had a fantastic auction so far, but we've still got a lot more tractors left in the show. So let's get to the action right now.
And that's going to bring in S24 as a 1947 John Deere GN. G with a single front wheel. Yeah, 2009 restoration on this. Has a 3.1 of 43 built. And what it was with the GM, with the War Production Board, they had kind of regulated what Deere could charge for these tractors. And they go to the GM designation on them because of the G modernized. During World War II, you had to change the model designation to ask for a price increase because of the shortage on for the war. So this is one of them that's right in that range where it could be a G, it could be a GM. They were using up some of the old parts, but 1 of 43 built. Got the governor-driven hydraulic pump, 800A 3-point hitch on the back, fenders, weights. Shipped to Vail, Oregon on July 25th of 1947. Has a 2-cylinder documentation with it. And of course, a little bit rarer than, or a lot rarer than that G high crop that actually rolled through here. And I've got a 52 G at home. I'd just love to get it back up and running. So we got Dan and Kathy, one of our ring people over here, working on a buyer, trying to get him to bid. So.
Still have some interest moving forward at $18,000. This Vaden collection has certainly generated a lot of interest.
Yeah, we've been
here in the Nashville show.
Bidding's been pretty hot on these tractors, and justifiably so. They are. Every one of them's been just a beautiful restoration and done right. And I believe that one's going to the bid goes on area, and that's going to bring in John Deere G W, which is also of the GM variety with the pan type seat and the battery up in front of the valve cover. And of course, G with a wide front and the fenders. I believe this is one of 107 that were built. Once again, new tires all the way around. Cast rear wheels with the wheel weights. Beautiful restoration on this tractor. And this one is selling at no reserve, Mike. So.
And the activity is certainly catching on quickly as soon as that no reserve is announced.
Okay, and this one does have an Expo certified tag with it, which means the 2-cylinder club says that this is as correct can be. Also has a production record. It was shipped to Sacramento, California on May 21st of 1947. Also has the Baker valve, which was an extra outlet that went in between the hydraulics on the tractor, so it pretty much gave you 2 outlets on these tractors. So kind of a unique option. Wasn't from Deere, it was an aftermarket thing, but sometimes adds a little value to it. And we're at $13,000.
And it sells for $12,500. Max, we've got one that I certainly had an eye on before the show. Lot number S26. It's a 1939 John Deere G Unstyled. I thought visually this was one of the best tractors of the lot, from what I could see. This was a beautifully restored tractor.
Yeah, this one here, this is another Unstyled G, but this one has the tall radiator on it. Factory round spokes on it, fenders. Jim and Beverly Vaden are going to donate all the proceeds of this 39 John Deere G to the Tennessee 4-H Foundation. So whatever this brings is going to be a donation to the 4-H Foundation. This is a great nonprofit foundation that provides vital help to many 4-H programs in Tennessee. Restored in 2004, I said before, round spoke wheels, flat back fenders, completely restored to condition when it drove out of the factory by Otto Kuhns. Shipped to Harlan, Iowa on February 14th of 1939, so it's a Valentine's Day tractor. And a beautiful tractor going to a great cause. You know, we need to promote agriculture more and more in the schools and keep our kids involved in it, because there aren't that farms are getting bigger, and we need these young people to get in there and kind of learn the ropes on how their food is produced. So.
Already at $7,500. Remember, all of these proceeds are donated by the Vaden family.
Yeah, to the Tennessee 4-H Foundation. So.
Well, Max, it's time to check in again with Kevin. Kevin, what do you have for us?
Well, not everybody here is buying or selling. Sometimes we've got some visitors. This is Abby. Abby, what are you doing here today?
I'm just here with my dad. He loves tractors, so we're just here looking around.
Well, that's great. Is your dad looking to purchase?
I don't think so. My mom told him he better not come home with another tractor.
But you guys are here doing some nice family bonding, right?
Yes, sir, we are.
And the crowd recognizing the buyer of that last tractor with all the proceeds going to Tennessee 4-H.
And that's going to bring in S27 1942 John Deere GM. Serial number 13024, Expo certified, restored in 212. Significant engine work's been done.
Shipped to Spring Valley, Minnesota. It sells no reserve, and it is right out of the Jim and Beverly Vaden collection. Ladies, on the last fire of that tractor was Warren Selby. And Warren, we appreciate your bid. We appreciate you coming out. Appreciate your donation to 4-H. Ladies, this little tractor right here is just another one around the collection. I'll tell you what, if you're here to buy a John Deere G, these are the G's to buy right here.
Yeah, this is Lance Staten right there, and he couldn't have said any better. These are the G's to buy. If you want John Deere G in your collection, these are the ones to buy. Meticulously restored. This one here with a 2-year-old restoration does have a 2-cylinder production register on it. Shipped to Spring Valley, Minnesota on February 27th of 1942. I just have not seen this many pretty G's in one setting before. And to be selling them back to back like this, I mean, it's just an honor to see them coming through. So.
And they've got them lined up out the door for us here in Franklin, Tennessee. People certainly not disappointed with the level of these restored, beautiful pieces of machinery here today.
Yeah, these are definitely some of the tractors that we love to see come through here and sell. Of course, I love every one of them that comes through, but to see a collection like this and the time and effort and years of work that a guy put in to track down one of every variation of the Model G.
Someone is about to get just about a steal out of this tractor. $7,000 sold at no reserve, Max.
28 from the right to the door, 1953 model John Deere G. Serial number 63930, restored in 2003. 16.9 by 38 rear tires.
And that's bringing in another John Deere G, a 1953 John Deere G at lot S28. Selling at no reserve. Has the big 16.938 rear tires on it. Really makes that tractor look tough. Fenders on it. Beautiful restoration on this again. Has a propane manifold, or the LP manifold on it, so it gives it a little more pop to it. 125 thousandths over pistons, which that was about as big as you could go on a G and still reliably use it in the field without it overheating. New rings, valves ground, two-cylinder production register or record on it, and this one was shipped to Jonesboro, Arkansas. So another beautiful tractor, 8,500 bid, looking for 9 right now. So just a beautiful lineup of G's coming through here, and
a lot of these tractors coming through here as part of the show, or what we call our featured tractors. These are usually the specialty top of the lineup. Usually going to bring the most money, and certainly from a visual standpoint, these are the ones a lot of the people come here to see.
Yeah.
No reserve on this one, Max. Trying to reach the $10,000 mark.
That one's going to sell at $10,000, Mike.
And Max, with that, this is a fantastic place to take a break. But don't you go anywhere. You're watching Mecum's Gone Farmin Nashville right here on RFD TV. And we'll be right back right after this. Welcome back, everyone. I'm host Mike Holland along with Max Wilson, and you've been watching Mecum's Gone Farmin here in Nashville. Let's get back to the action.
1952 John Deere GN.
This is a single front tire here, Max. That's
for running down some of your narrow rows, or when a lot of them in the drought areas, they plant their crops up on a ridge and use what they call ditch irrigation, and they'd run the water down in between the rows. And I actually had a gentleman come up to me at one of the auctions and explain to me, he goes, it wasn't really for narrow rows, it was more so that when you were cultivating or doing whatever, it kept you up on top of that mound that you wanted to be on during the irrigation. So this one here with 3-point hitch, shipped to Mitchell, Nebraska, has the 2-cylinder production register or record on it. 801 3-point governor-driven hydraulic, the long rear axles, so you could stretch that out to do your bedded crops or your real wide row crops. So. And there's just something about the sound of a John Deere G running, and not a pop. They got a little bit lower sound to them.
Another beautifully restored tractor from the Vaden collection.
This one is 2-cylinder Expo certified, saying it is one of the best restored Gs out there. So this one is selling with a reserve. The guy wanted a little bit of protection on this, make sure it was going to bring the money he needed out of it. And a couple more bids coming in here as that tractor's starting to roll towards the end of our block here.
Well, it just marked over $15,000, so let's see if we can get him. Yeah, looks like the bid's going to go on there.
S30, the last tractor sold today for the Jen and Beverly Vaden collection. 1946 model John Deere G serial number 16354, shipped to Billings, Montana on September 20, 1945. Tractor does come with electric start. It was restored this year, 2014. It does sell no reserve, guys, and this is the last G out of the Jen and Beverly Vaden collection.
Yeah, as Logan just announced, lot S30 is a no reserve on a 1946 John Deere GM. This is going to be the last one out of this Jim and Beverly Vaden collection, so been a beautiful bunch of G's coming through here. This one here was shipped to Billings, Montana on September 20th of 1945. Has electric start. Is just restored this year, so you probably get up close, you probably be able to smell some of that fresh paint being burned off of it as it's rolling through. And of course these GMs always bring a good amount of money. They'll bring more than a standard G will. And just good old workhorses. I mean, a lot of power. A lot of these tractors were just used day after day and just run right into the ground. Deere, I've heard stories that the Deere engineers, when they were designing this rear end, they claimed that this rear end, with the amount of iron they put in it and the gears and everything, was capable of holding up to 200 horse reliably. This GM that we got in front of us is maybe about 50 horse, so there's plenty of room to up the horsepower on these. The Grand Deere limited to how far you can bore them out, but we got 8,000 bid, looking for 8,500 on it. So,
and they're trying to push it up towards the $9,000 mark. He's got his gavel in the air, so.
That one's going to sell at $8,500.
Well, Max, a lot of our viewers certainly are no strangers to classic tractors, but one of the things that also attracts our viewers, along with other people that come from hundreds of miles, is some of the vintage memorabilia and signage that actually hit the auction block here. Let's take a look. This is an event that's really taken legs. It's only a few years old, Max, but I'll tell you, it seems to be doubling and tripling each time there's another auction. So the market just keeps getting bigger and bigger for these, as we see a John Deere single-sided sign coming up here. And this is what we were talking about earlier with this logo. This particular one, all you see is the logo. It doesn't look like there's a John Deere name itself.
No, and of course, John Deere's just the Leaping Deer logo is synonymous. I mean, you see that, people know what it is. But and of course, this is the newest logo here. It started, I believe, in year 2000 or 2001 they came out with this. So this is a fairly new sign, and $1,600 bid on it. And, be a good one for probably down the man cave, but the size may be a little bit prohibitive because it's 63 by 70. So it's actually a pretty large sign. Look very nice in the back end of a shed up in your rafters, plugged in, kind of showcasing the collection.
And that one brings
$1,500. That one's going to sell. And that's going to bring in M58, a Massey Harris single-sided porcelain sign. Of course, the one we had earlier had the moldboard on it, a little more detail, had the brighter colors. This one here is in the black and yellow with the red. Better built farm equipment. This is probably from the mid-50s. Once again, another beautiful condition. Sign does not look like it's really ever been displayed. Looks like there might be a little bit of cracking there in the one corner, but not hurting the value at all on this one either.
Obviously, weather's going to play a big part in some of the deterioration of these signs, and obviously the makeup of whether it's porcelain, whether it's tin, and some of the way that the paint was preserved on these things.
Well, the biggest thing is sun. So that one's going to sell, I believe, at $1,400. And M59 is a Minneapolis Moline single-sided tin with enamel paint. Minneapolis Moline tractors operate on this farm. Once again, another sign, got a few little chips and scratches, but real nice. And that big MM, I always kind of liked that logo when Minneapolis Moline was using that.
And for those of you that are just joining us, you can see we have run into our featured section of our signs here at Mecum Auctions Nashville show, and it's really is amazing. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of these prices jump higher than we're probably used to, but as Max said earlier, it makes the most difference of how many people you bring to an auction. The more people you bring, certainly the more money that you can offer a potential seller. That one goes for about $1,500. And with that, we're going to take a quick break. You're watching Mecum's Gone Farmin Nashville, but don't worry, we'll be back right after this. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back. You're watching Mecum's Gone Farmin Nashville. I'm Mike Holland along with Max Wilson. We've seen some great prices on some great tractors here, along with some memorabilia. So we won't waste any time. Let's get right back to the action.
Another one of our feature tractors coming in here, lot S31, is a John Deere 430W. This tractor is owned by a guy that brings several tractors to us to the last few auctions. I believe he brought 5 or 6 this time, might have been 7. This one has new engine, new paint, new tires, lots of new parts, rear power steering with the spin-out wheels. So has the 3-point on the back, the no third link. I was talking to this guy, he wants to make sure when he goes through and does these that all the chains and everything for the sway and the springs and that on the 3-point, that everything is correct as far as the correct style springs and chain links and all that. So.
And it rolls out at $8,750.
John Deere 730 LP standard. Seal number 73262, completely restored. New tires, has wide adjustable front and 3-point hitch.
Yeah, and that's going to bring in lot S32 as a 1959 John Deere 730 LP standard. This one has front weights on it. One of 220 built, Mike. New tires, has the adjustable wide front, which is another rare option on the standards, and also has 3-point. So pretty well optioned up standard tractor with the propane, the front weights, and 3-point on it. So. And looking at 12.5 right now, looking for 15. And once again, the amount of tractors that are coming through here are just beautiful restorations.
And they just took the reserve off of. This one should generate some more activity. Rolling through, Kathy's just sealed up an $18,000 bid here. Dan and Kathy both working the crowd as zero in on an interested buyer and make sure that Seller's going to get the best bid certainly possible here today.
And Kathy's over here working two different people in the crowd. But
and it rolls out at about $18,500.
And it's going to roll in another rare of the rare tractors, 1958 John Deere 720 diesel high crop, electric start, 1 of 9 built, Mike. I know we've sold one other one at a Mecum Gone Farming auction, and it brought a good amount of money. So, power steering, new Firestone tires, PTO with the seal beam headlights. Just another one of those unique tractors you don't get to see every day. So.
He's got a $40,000 bid on the table.
Yeah, now 55 looking for 60.
What a treat for some of our volunteers driving the tractors through. There's looks like a grandfather and his grandson up there with a once-in-a-lifetime moment, being able to drive that tractor through the auction block here.
Yeah, and like I said, the rarity of this being 1 of 9 built, I know I've said that once, but just to reiterate, 1 of 9. There was not 10 of them built, there were 9 built. So
special point here in the auction as it's trying to reach the $70,000 mark, Max. They're not going to let this one roll through until they absolutely know that they've reached the maximum.
They're going to make sure they're just going to keep working and trying to get the money out of this tractor for the rarity of it.
And this John Deere Rare 720, as Max said, only 9 built.
Yeah, I'm sitting over here on the edge of my seat right now just waiting to see what it's going to bring. So
they still have some action on the other side of the arena.
I think we've maybe got a phone bidder on this. Dan and Matt are back there working with one of the gals at the table.
And it's starting to make its way through. 72.5, it just hit.
Yeah, there's a few people, they're kind of sitting on their hands just waiting to see if we're going to let her go. And
of course, Dan Mecum back there talking to someone directly on the phone. Finding out what the phone bidders wants to do.
Well, and that tells you how important this one is. That Dan's actually back there handling himself. Usually he stays up around the auction podium.
$72,500. $70,500. $72,500. We're going once. Anybody else want to play that beautiful tractor? $72,500. Right? You got to close the bidding. If it goes on that tractor.
Yeah, they're going to close the bidding.
And the bid's going to go on. Seller looking for a little more than $72,500 on that one.
And it's going to bring in lot S34 is a cute little Massey Ferguson here, model 130. It's a 1966 model, 3-point. I don't know how many of these were built. It's kind of a unique little tractor, kind of getting into that compact tractor area. Actually, they call it a vineyard tractor for working in the grapevines and the narrow rows and that. This one was made in France in original condition. 4-cylinder Perkins diesel, paint in excellent condition, which it is. It does look nice. PTO 3-point has a toolbox with the original owner's manuals, maintenance records. A very hard to find tractor. So if we got any Massey collectors out there, this would probably be a good one to put in their collection, especially at a $3,000 price right now.
I think a lot of our people are still in shock watching the 720 roll through here without, yeah.
Bid's going to go on that, need $4,000, just a little bit shy on that. And that's going to bring in lot S35 is a 1962 Farmall 560. Serial number 49810, 6-cylinder gas. Mechanically overhauled, soda blasted and refinished international red. New front tires and rims, new rear tires, radiator fuel tank oiled and conditioned. Exhaust manifold and muffler have been powder coated with heat resistant material, so it'll never burn off. Okay, and just an announcement there that we do have the serial number plate. Evidently, we just got done with that tractor and didn't have time to get the serial number plate back on, so that kind of completes it. Beautiful restoration on this tractor.
Coming in at a no reserve, yeah. Max, just hitting a little bit more than $12,000 already.
And the time and money invested in making a tractor look like this. I've never taken one to this point to have it that pretty and nice, but I just know what kind of time is invested in that. Looks like we've got some internet bidding on this one, or a proxy bid.
A lot of these get more intricate than others. What is generally the time frame to restore, take a tractor that's usually in such an old condition to full restoration?
Oh, I know guys that'll spend anywhere from 6 months up to possibly 5 to 10 years. It all depends on the rarity of the tractor and what condition you start with it. I don't ever want to put a dollar amount on it. I mean, it's in the thousands if you're going to go through and do one, a complete nut and bolt. By the time you buy bearings and getting everything correct and right again, I mean, you've got a lot of money invested and a lot of time. And, of course, a lot of these tractors, you see them sell. You can't count your labor in what we sell some of these tractors for. But, yeah, I mean, it all depends if you're doing it yourself. A restoration shop professionally doing them, maybe 6 months turnaround time to get a tractor that came right off the farm into that condition of what that 560 in front of us.
Well, folks, that's all we have time for today's show. I'm Mike Holland. This is Max Wilson, and we'll see you next time right here on RFD TV, Rural America's most important network.